Okay, let's start having a look at nutrient timing. So, nutrient timing is basically the consumption of macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats around the timing of physical activity, daily routine, and hunger patterns. When we optimize this, we basically make these things easier for a client to get optimal results. So, nutrient timing is like one of those 10 percenters where it's going to improve your results, but it's absolutely not necessary for any single person. Okay, so the purpose of nutrient timing: enhance nutrient uptake during exercise, or use it to support fat loss, muscle growth, recovery, and also daily hunger patterns. So with here, what we want to do is we want to first of all get through protein. So why is protein important? Number one, it's to make sure that we consume it consistently throughout the day to make sure we have a steady stream of amino acids, maintain a positive nitrogen balance. Okay, so a positive nitrogen balance means our muscle protein synthesis is more than our muscle protein breakdown. By doing that, you make sure you're in an anabolic activity all day long. So what we generally recommend for most people is 3 to 5 servings. 4 is a nice sweet spot, between 20 to 40, sometimes up to 50 grams of protein per meal, based on the individual's body size and goals. So if we have someone who's bigger and they're like 100 kilos and they need 2 grams per kilo body weight, they're eating 4 times a day, they're going to need about 50 grams of protein per meal, which is totally fine. Now, from here, you want to maximize carb intake around training because carbs are the body's preferred fuel source for exercise, all types of exercise. So, doing carbs before and after training really helps enhance performance and speed up recovery. And so, how we do it is eat about 25 to 50 grams of easy digestible carbs 1 to 2 hours before training. Post workout, 30 to 50 grams of fast digesting carbs is a pretty good rule of thumb. Now, this will change based on someone's individual energy requirements. So, if someone has a higher amount of energy requirements a day and they're eating a lot of carbs, I've been known to give client carb intake of anywhere from 600 to 800 grams a day. That 50 grams of carbs is not going to make a dent in that. So I will bias more carbs to there. I think the most I've given in the post-workout window is around 200 grams of carbohydrate to help someone recover and 100 grams beforehand to help fuel training for them. Now, the next rule of thumb is to move fats away from training. Now, the reason why we want to move fats away from training is because fats slow down digestion and inhibit the absorption and utilization of carbohydrates during exercise because they slow down the overall glycemic index of everything. And generally, you probably don't want to have an avocado toast or a really fatty meal before you train. It wouldn't be comfortable. So avoid high-fat meals around your training session. It's pretty simple. Now, you can do it any other time of day is totally fine, but in that immediate training window is not a good idea. Now, our next option is carb cycling, which is doing high and low carb days. Now, some people find they lose fat faster or they at least lose water weight faster. So it allows for a greater degree of adherence to the diet. We get improved muscle gain for some people because it supports harder training performance in the days. And some people find they get better insulin sensitivity by having a day of low carb intake, so good insulin sensitivity, and a higher one, the body seems primed to take it on. That is an individual thing. A lot of people will say carb cycling doesn't work. For some clients, it absolutely does. So test and implement. One of the things that you'll find that I keep on coming back to is how important individuality is needed for most people to get the best possible outcome. So there's no one way. So a lot of things I'll talk about may not be necessarily 100% accurate in the research because they've done a study and it's hasn't worked with more than 50% of people. That being said, 30% of people got results. So it would be remiss of us to ignore that. And that's something that a lot of people don't look at when they're doing the research. How many people actually got better? And a lot of people do. So we don't ignore it. We use it as one possible tool once we've exhausted other tools. Now, from here, we can also do intermittent fasting as one possible way of doing our nutrient timing because that's exactly what it is. Intermittent fasting basically involves restricting eating to a window. 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating phase, gains popularity for fat loss, enhanced fat burning, better digestion. It may create a calorie deficit, intermittent fasting, simply because you've got less time to eat. Pretty simple. If you don't eat to say 12 and you eat between 12 and 8, you've only got that period of time to eat food. If you're busy or if you get full quickly from eating the food you're having, you're probably going to be in a calorie deficit. For some people, it can improve insulin sensitivity and also metabolic flexibility, which is the ability to use fats and carbs as fuel as well. And some people have better mental clarity when they don't eat. I personally feel better mentally focus-wise during fasting periods if I implement that with myself. Now, would I do that with clients? Probably not a lot of the time. For some people, yes. For some people, no. I find it works well for me, and I'll do it like 1 or 2 days a week. Just having that gap there makes things work really nicely. Now, from there, some possible downsides. We get some potential overeating. So some people compensate for the fast by eating more. We can get reduced workout performance. So if people train fasted, what happens is they may struggle a little bit. Now, that being said, I train fasted all the time based on lifestyle and timing factors, and you do adapt to it over time. So it's not like a be-all and end-all. It is something that can happen. And it does disrupt some social eating patterns sometimes, but you can always get by it. You go out and have coffee with people. It's no big deal, right? I would probably recommend it for people who are really busy with work and they want to lose weight and don't want to think about food. It can be a useful strategy. They just need to be aware that there is a possible downside for that. So there's going to be some side effects that they have. So from there, that's all we have to worry about. Really, really simple. Now, biasing a calorie intake around hunger is another strategy you can use, and this is one I use personally as well. People have hunger patterns that go different at different times of day. So clients experience evening hunger. I actually bias calorie intake towards evening. If they have morning hunger, we bias caloric intake towards end. So it's a really simple strategy, and a lot of clients get overwhelmed and freaked out by it because they think eating food at night is going to make them fat. No, it's not. They may be a little bit heavier the next day due to food volume, but if they stick in the caloric deficit over the period of 3 to 5 days, it will balance itself out and they'll start losing weight on the scale again. So here's a really nice little strategy for someone who, has that. So me personally, just to use personal examples, I know they're not perfect. I'll generally be absolutely fasted. Okay. Then I do have a coffee on the way, but I have a coffee, go to the gym, train. It goes from anywhere between 45 to 90 minutes, the session, basically if I'm throwing cardio in. From there, I'll actually have quite a large meal. I'll have my post-workout meal and breakfast all in one hit. Then I'll work through for, let's just say I finish by 9:30. I won't eat again until 1 or 2 o'clock, depending on the schedule. And it'll be basically lean protein, veggies, a little bit of carbs, quite a balanced small meal. And then dinner is a large meal. And that works with the evening snack as well, just like that, actually. So my difference is the morning meal is bigger. And that works totally fine over time, because what I've done is I've biased the calories to get the best recovery as I can post-workout. I actually feel better training fasted because I don't do too well with food in the stomach with training, because I train quite intensely all the time. And I nasal breathe, so it makes the abdominal patterns feel a little bit different. That's one way to describe it. And then lunch, because I work all day long, I have a small, quick lunch that makes it easy, make sure that I have optimal muscle protein synthesis, and we move forward. So it's a nice little strategy. So really, really simple training considerations. Make sure you have the right food around the workout, adjust based on hunger. And then what you can expect is these: improved performance, better adherence, better body composition. If you can use nutrient timing to find a training style that works for your client, you're going to be far ahead of everyone else.